Hello and welcome to this English lesson about friendship. Today I picked a topic that I didn't think there would be a lot of words or phrases to talk about, but there are a lot of words and phrases when you start to talk about friendship. So, friendship, this is the noun we use to describe the act of being someone's friend. Okay, so many of you have friends in life. You might have one friend, you might have many friends, but the noun we use to describe this is the noun friendship. Now, I'll be honest, we don't use the word friendship a lot in casual English. Instead, we usually say that we are friends with someone. Okay, so friendship, though, is the noun. You can say, oh, I have a great friendship with my friend Tom. Oh, Tom and I have a friendship that goes back years. Okay, so this is the way you describe just being, I just want to keep using the word friend, but it's the way you describe liking someone, being with someone, and being a good friend to them. We would call it a friendship. So let me talk about then the more casual way. The more casual way to express this is to say that you are friends with someone. So we use the structure to be friends. So I am friends with a couple of people. Jen has some friends, so she is friends with people as well. So notice that we use the verb to be and we use the word friends in order to describe a friendship, okay? So you could say that my son is friends with his friend Fred, okay? Or I could say my daughter is friends with, I think her friend's name is Julie, but I can't remember. So this is the structure we use to describe a friendship in normal English conversation. There's a couple of things that you do with friends. One is that you spend time with them. Okay, so anytime you are with a friend, anytime you are with someone who is your friend, you would say that you are spending time with them. So you would say things like, I really like to spend time with my friend Joe, or I haven't had enough time to spend time with my friend Joe this past week, or last weekend I was able to spend some time with my friend Joe. So the word spend is actually used with money as well, right? You spend money, but we also use it when we talk about being with friends. Hey, I do want to give a shout out specifically to Brent, American English with this guy. Brent is also a teacher in real life like me. And Brent and I were actually emailing back and forth this week because both of us have pre-year meetings and we're getting ready to teach. So it was really fun for me. Brent, thank you for being a good email pal. That's how I would describe Brent. We shared what our meetings were like, talked a little bit about masks. I wear my mask diligently at work right now. Anyways, enough about that. Let's move on to the next one. You also hang out with friends. So there's a lot of ways to describe being with your friends, but I think the two most common would be to say that you spend time with a friend or that you hang out with a friend, okay? So I would even say this about, at my age, I would even say this. I would say, I need to make some more time to hang out with my friends more. I'm too busy, I work too much. I don't have enough time to hang out with my friends. So it's not just young people that hang out together. It is a very common way to talk about hanging out or being with people. I was going to use the phrase to describe the phrase. You're not supposed to do that, by the way. As an English teacher, you're supposed to find other words to describe it. There are a couple different kinds of friendships, okay? Different degrees of friendship. And one is what's called a best friend. Many people have a best friend. So they'll have 2 or 3 friends, but one of those friends is just really special to them. One of those friends is someone they maybe spend more time with. They get along with that friend really well. They enjoy being with that friend, and they could become best friends. Here is a great example. When I was in kindergarten, so school in Canada goes from kindergarten up to grade 12. When I was in kindergarten, I made friends with somebody, and that person became my best friend, and he is still my best friend. He is a friend that I talk to quite often. So a best friend is an extra special friend. That's how we would describe it. You might also have a childhood friend. So the friend I just described, I could also, at my age, say he's an old childhood friend. Okay, so he's a childhood friend. He's a friend that I started a friendship with when I was a child. Okay, so many people, when they go to school when they go to elementary school or what we call grade school when they are young. They will make friends. And then later in life, they'll refer to that person as a childhood friend. Okay. So Jen has a couple childhood friends. That means that even though she's in her 40s, I think I said Jen's age almost. I'm not supposed to do that. Jen is very young, actually. She has a number of childhood friends. So these are friends that she made when she was a child. Another phrase you might see a lot on the internet right now is the phrase BFF. This is actually an acronym or a short form for best friends forever. It's used a lot by girls, teenage girls. So they will say, oh, this is my BFF. So it uses the phrase best friend, but it adds the element of time, indicating that this is going to be my best friend forever. And they do say BFF. They'll say, oh, I'm going to call my BFF, or can my BFF come over? So it's a very common term, and it stands for best friends forever. Older people don't use this phrase maybe once in a while. Like I don't use BFF. Teenage boys don't use BFF. It's very much teenage girls that would use this phrase. Let me see where I am. Buddy. So a buddy, this phrase is actually used a lot. I'll give you some example phrases. The reason I put a picture of a guy with a truck is because in life, it's always great if you have a buddy that has a truck. This word isn't used everywhere in North America. I'm actually curious if in Brent's area they use the term buddy. But I have a couple buddies that have trucks, okay? Guys might also say, I'm just going to hang out with my buddies tonight. Or I'm going to go out. My buddies are coming to pick me up at 8. I'm just going to hang out with my buddies tonight. So it is somewhat of a male term. But honestly, the phrase, it's nice to have everyone should have a buddy that owns a pickup truck. It's very common. So I'm just going to wait to see if Brent heard me ask that question, if people in his area of Maine in the United States use the term buddy very often. Because here it's very common to use that term. A short form of buddy is bud, but it usually comes out in the form of best buds. So again, this is another term for best friend, usually used with children, sometimes with adults, but you could say, oh, they are best buds. They're best buds. Oh, my son has a really good friend. They're best buds. They do everything together. So best buds is just, I guess, a more casual way to say best friends. Brett says, my brother has a pickup truck. It's a lifesaver. Yes, very cool, Brett. We use buddy all the time. It's a great term. We use it exactly the same way. Yeah, let me back up for a sec on that, Brent, because some people use buddy to talk about small children, like small boys. They'll say like, hey buddy, how's it going? Like when I talk to my nephew, I often call him buddy. Sounds weird when I say it though, but we do use this a little bit that way as well. Let me get back to the right slide here. Bestie. So this phrase I don't hear in regular English conversation in my work, even though I work with teenagers. I do see this word from time to time, but I don't know if it's super popular in Canadian English. But bestie is another word for best friend. Oh, she's my bestie. I don't use it. You can probably tell even when I just used it in a sentence, it did not sound natural. I do hear this word sometimes though. I do hear people use it on television shows, and I hear it sometimes in movies. So I thought I should include it. Brent in the chat is saying, small boys here, exact same, maybe under the age of 9, you would call him buddy. Like, hey, buddy, how was your soccer game? Or, hey, buddy, good to see you. Do you want me to come and watch your next soccer game? I don't know. I only have one nephew, so I don't use the phrase very often. Let's see here. Let's get back to the slides. We have the phrase pal. Again, this is not, word pal. We have the word pal. This is not a word I use very often. I don't use the word pal. I don't know if it's a little more American, but pal is simply another word to refer to someone who is a friend. Like, let me see here. Like my pals. I went out with my pals. Yeah, it's not a natural word for me to use, but it's definitely an English word that means friend. The next word I have is kind of a word. and it's the word frenemy. So a frenemy is kind of a funny combination of the word friend and enemy. And a frenemy is someone who seems to be your friend, but maybe isn't your friend. So you might have someone you work with who is very friendly and always kind to you, but then when your back is turned, they say bad things about you. So we would say that person is a frenemy. It's, again, a newer word. I don't even know if it's in the dictionary, but you will hear this word on TV shows and movies and things like that. So you see the guy has like the sign on his back, "Kick me." So probably the person he thought was a friend, as soon as he turned his back, secretly put a sign on his back that says "Kick me." So a frenemy is not a nice friend. They are actually someone who seems like a friend, but isn't. And we could also say that that person is two-faced. When we say that someone is two-faced in English, it means that they behave one way when they are with you, but then they behave a different way when they are not with you. So when you are with them, they might be nice and kind and say nice things about you. But then when you are gone, they start to say mean things about you. So when someone is two-faced, it's like they have two completely different personalities. So not a very nice thing. I do want to pause and say hi to the 472 people watching. Thanks for being here. There is a subscribe button there if you want to click it. That is always a good thing to do. Family friend or friend of the family. So you'll have friends in life, but your family might also be friends with people, and you might refer to them as friends of the family or a family friend. So here's a good example. Down the road, there is a person who was friends with my dad when my dad was alive, okay? And he's kind of my neighbor, but we usually refer to him as a friend of the family because he was friends with my dad. He's not my friend, like he's not my mom's friend. He's not friends with my brothers or sisters, but he was friends with my dad, and he still is someone we see and talk to quite often. So we refer to him as a friend of the family. This is a common phrase in English. You might hear people say things like, oh yeah, we're having a party this weekend. Yeah, we have a few friends of the family are coming over. So that just means different people who are friends with different people in your family. It's nice to have a friend of the family that lives just down the road, because then when I have questions about farming, I can go ask him. So a few not quite friend words. We'll do two of these. An acquaintance is simply someone you know. They're not someone that you necessarily go out for coffee with. They aren't someone who you see regularly. And they aren't someone who you like so much and spend time with so much that you would say they're a friend, but they are still someone you know. So you would simply call them an acquaintance. You know, oh, he's an acquaintance of mine, right? Sometimes you have people that you meet through work. Maybe you know people that work in a different place but do the same job as you, and you see them every once in a while. So they're not really your friend, but you do know them a little bit. You would say that they are an acquaintance. A person you work with, you might be friendly with, but they might not be your friend. We would say they are your colleague. So all of the people you work with, you would refer to as colleagues. You could also refer to them as coworkers, okay? Both words work. So these are people that acquaintances and colleagues aren't friends, but you might do things with these people that you would do with friends. For instance, sometimes I go out to eat with my colleagues. Sometimes we go to a restaurant. When I go to a teachers convention, I have a few people that I'm acquaintances with, and I will talk to them at the teachers convention. Let me get to the next one here. Like two peas in a pod. So we have a phrase in English to describe people who are very, very similar to each other. This can be because they look a lot alike. Sometimes you'll see two brothers and you'll say, oh, they're like two peas in a pod. Or you'll say they look identical, or they look like identical twins. So it can be used for physical description, but it's often used as well for describing people that do a lot of the same things and like doing a lot of the same things. So let's say maybe these two boys love playing soccer and they like wrestling and they like running around outside and throwing sticks at trees. I don't know what. I'm trying to remember all the things I did when I was that age. If they like all of the same things,